Welcome, Board of Selectmen meeting, first one of 2025. Happy New Year. I call the meeting to order for January 14th, 2025 at 6:32 p.m. First item on the agenda is Secretary's report, but the minutes were not posted to the website, so that we'll have to table the approval of the minutes from the December 10th meeting. Audience of citizens. Looks like we have a good crew here today. And we also do not have a secretary. We are looking for a secretary. Joy has stepped down. We appreciate all of her service. It got just a little too much work. So I'm going to be taking minutes as well. So let me just see how many audience of citizens we have here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay. Would anyone like to address the board? Okay. You'll have a chance later too. Okay, so first item, or the next item on the agenda is our residence day tripper report. Welcome, Steve.
Hi. So, as you all might know me,
You want to come up this way so because we'll be on the camera? As much as you don't want to do.
I'm Steve Krause, the resident trooper in town. Just giving an update that recently we have done some selective traffic enforcement for violations in town, which was quite successful.
Good.
It was last 2 weeks we've done it, 1 day a week.
And that was, you said, pretty much on Main Street and some of the main areas?
It was all over town. There was no specific location we focused on. It was everywhere.
Good. We did have a few residents come in this week that would love to see you on Rattling Valley, Cedar Swamp, and Union. So if we can do that on our next big push.
It was great to see you out there.
Yeah.
Saw a bright and early New Year's Day.
Yeah.
I heard from a few people who were stopped that they got warning. Is that the intention for a certain period of time? Or
So
what's the plan?
law enforcement officers have discretion in their, how they conduct the traffic stop. It all depends on what the violation is and the conduct of the operator. So,
Did you find the majority of the people you stopped were residents of town, or was it
it
split?
was like it was a good 50-50 split.
When you say it was successful, how do you define it? As volume or other parameters?
People were receptive to it, as far as that, in my personal opinion. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the feedback was that, oh, good to see you out there. You know,
Part-
yeah.
Part of the purpose is education. Yeah. So, educating everybody that I pull over. Hey, this is what you did wrong. Do it in the future. That's perspective.
Yeah.
So,
Is this a 2-week push or what is your plan?
we're in a constant evaluation. So
Any preliminary thoughts on that?
it's always on top of mind. We were just able to do it the last 2 weeks.
I guess I would say as one of the selectmen that, not to speak for the three of us, feel free to chime in if you feel the same or differently. I'd like to see it continue, see it being an ongoing practice. I think it adds to our safety in general.
Of course.
We talked about that, so that's great.
Have you replaced your departing officer?
No.
Do we have an idea when that may happen?
Starting the selection process.
Okay.
It's great. Somebody in my radar. And then just the other thing, I wanted just to talk about John Winthrop being open now and Valley. So how is that transition going on?
Actually, it's slightly improved since the last time it was open. One of the concerns was drop-off time was, let's see, only allowed at a certain point, which caused a backup of people dropping off their kids, causing a traffic jam with all of the buses coming up the hill. The new principal has adjusted the drop-off time and allowed students to go in the building and wait in the cafeteria until the start of the school day, which has relieved the congestion. There's no more issues with buses having to wait in line for all the parents to drop off their kids. It's actually flowing a lot better. So,
Thanks, Steve. Okay, appointments and reappointments. So It's time to reappoint Tom Metcalf to the Deep River Housing Authority. He has served on that committee. I don't know if you wanted to reach out to him. I was just told by the town clerk that that comes up February 1st. Tom's interested in serving. Joanne Horgan's interested in having him continue to serve. So it would just be a reappointment.
It would be, I'd love to have a conversation with him. I actually don't know him. So if I
okay.
could have his phone number, I don't see any problem with it, but I'd always like to have the conversation.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable approving this tonight, or do you want me to put this on the next agenda?
I'd like to actually have the conversation. I feel it's a good pro forma approach to take on a regular basis.
Okay, so we'll table Tom's appointment?
Yeah, I'm good with it. He served before I know Tom, so, but we can table it till
Yeah,
next
I mean, I don't mind moving it forward either,
Yep.
but I'm fine with you talking to Tom.
Thank you.
I didn't realize you didn't know. Yep. Okay, so we'll table letter A. B is appointment of Daniel Smith as a regular member to the RiverCog Regional Planning Committee. So Daniel has served as the alternate member for the past several years, and this is no term limit. You just serve at the pleasure of the Board of Selectmen and you represent the town. And that is a vacancy opened by the resignation of Tony Bullock, who happens to be here. So thank you for your service on that, Tony. And Tony recommended that Daniel be bumped up. I did talk to Daniel, and he'd be honored to continue serving on there. He's been attending the meetings pretty regularly, so can I have a motion to?
I'm good with it. Well, I don't know if
I know him, and I've observed him in action, so
Okay.
fine.
Okay, so
I'll make a
motion.
motion to
Second.
appoint Daniel Smith
Okay.
for the RiverCog.
Seconded.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, the C and D are the reappointment of our full-time animal control officer and the appointment of Heather Cashman to serve as a part-time animal control officer. So the first one, reappointment of Carolyn Fountain to serve as our full-time officer. The other towns that we're doing this regional thing with, Essex, Chester, and Westbrook, would like this to be an annual appointment. So I have no problem doing an annual appointment. They have been serving in their roles, so.
Oh, Heather has been serving in a row. It says appointment of.
Well, she has been
new?
serving, but she was never officially appointed.
Uh-huh.
She was hired by Essex. Chester hadn't officially appointed her either. They talked about it at a Board of Selectmen meeting back in July. But in order for her to get her training, she needs letters from all the towns that officially that she's been appointed. So it's like an official process, just so that she can continue her certification.
Sure. My only question on this, as per the terms of the regional agreement, does her appointment increase the cost at all, or is this business as usual?
No, it's exactly what we agreed on financially, and
Because there's a contract, correct?
the contract, and because we added Westbrook to the mix, that afforded us the opportunity to add a part-time officer as well, for the same amount of money.
So I move that we reappoint the full-time animal control officer Carolyn Fountain and appoint Heather Cashman to serve as part-time assistant animal control officer, both as per terms of the regional agreement.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Second, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I should have said any discussion, but we're good, okay. Okay, and then appointments of our town constables. So per our ordinance, we have to do this. Been having a conversation with our town clerk because they're employees. We didn't understand why they had to be appointed, but it is in the ordinance. So we're going to follow the procedure and still figure out if that's something we, again, want to possibly change in the ordinance moving forward, but that's a whole nother can of worms at this point, so we'll just appoint them like we're supposed to. But we have Benjamin DeCrosta, or Paul, Sean Dotrick, and Dan Fuedo. So terms to expire 12/1/2025, and their term would have officially started 12/1/2024.
Carol, just in terms of process, I don't know, has our constable given you an update on their performance and all that? Are you satisfied with that?
I'm satisfied.
Not to put you on the spot here with this, it's just how...
Steve, Resident Trooper Krause and I have spoken about, and they all seem to be doing a wonderful job. Great feedback from the community on all three of them. So
Okay.
The only one we're not reappointing is Chris Reed, because Chris has put in his resignation, and we thank him for his service, but so he is not on the list. His last day is what, the 15th? Tomorrow.
Scott should still be on that, too.
Scott
Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Yes.
Okay.
he does special events such as Memorial Day Parade and
Do
most
we want to
everything
put them
else.
on the next agenda or make an amendment to it?
I wish we knew before the meeting started, but, I mean, I have no problem putting him on. He's been there.
I don't have a problem with it.
All right, so I need a
Let's make a
motion
motion
to
to
add
add.
it to the agenda. Who wants to make the motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Want to second that?
I'll second putting Scott Wisner on.
All right, all in favor of adding Scott Wisner to the appointment list on the agenda?
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
So then I'll make a motion that we appoint the constables as follows for a one-year term. Benjamin Paul DeCrosta, Sean Doutrick, Daniel Fuito, and Scott Wisner, terms ending 12/1/2025.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 6, all boards and commission meetings. So on Tuesday evening, January 21st, we have a all boards and commission meeting. This is our first time attempting this. We've heard a lot of feedback over the years that this would be helpful. The idea is to bring together representatives from each of the boards, commissions, clubs, organizations. Fire department's welcome to be there, so basically to get everyone together, we're gonna have the town clerk present just some of the couple things, how to take minutes, what needs to be filed, when it needs to be filed, go over some of those things. Then we have somebody from the Freedom of Information Department of the state coming down to do a quick presentation that way too. And the idea was to have all the groups tell about their annual programs or what they see on the horizon so that we can try to get better collaboration of all the groups and also hopefully not have events that are scheduled for the same day. We've had a few of those where like Lions Club dinner was scheduled for something what the PTO was doing, and everyone likes to support all the groups, so we thought this would be a good way for some education, but also just the sharing of all those groups. So if you are representing a group or if anyone would like to come and you're not necessarily representing a group, but you have something to contribute. So we're gonna hold that upstairs here, 6 p.m. And we do have a lot of openings on some of our boards and commissions too. So we're looking for recommendations. If you have somebody in mind that you think would fill a great spot, please bring them to one of the selectmen and we can do that appointment. Yeah. Let's see, tax refunds. So the tax collector has given me a file here with 6 tax refunds totaling $368.71. So we need to get a motion and approval to give this money back to our residents.
I'll make a motion to give 6 tax refunds in a total of $368.71.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Firehouse Building Committee update. So I didn't get my act together to get a meeting last week with all the holiday. It was just every day seemed like a Monday and it just got a little away from me. We are planning to meet maybe the end of this week to touch on that. The selectmen, we have met about that. We do have kind of probably who we think would be best served on that committee. But we are going to meet and move that forward. So that is our goal, if not the end of this week, early next week or something. So that was the update on that. So I know you're out in force again. So when we get to audience and citizens, we'd love to hear your feedback again. So,
Carol, could you, do you have an update on the funding for that, how that's moving along? We've had a couple of positive meetings.
Yeah, we met with Liberty Bank and we've met with Guilford Bank and we've also been talking to the USDA. USDA, yes.
Tomorrow.
Right. And then tomorrow we have a walkthrough over at the firehouse. And so that's moving forward, and then there's quite a long application process. So right now we're still in the gathering information stage. Nothing has been decided. Again, we're just meeting with all the groups so that we can figure out, it looks like we're probably going to need some sort of bridge loan because the USDA money will come in later. But if we want to get started with design and demolition, those things are going to cost right out of the gate. So we are meeting with these local banks to see what kind of funding we can get.
And where are we with the trucks? Are you guys starting to build them, Tim?
2 committees that started, yes. Yep.
I think actually it kind of goes with this, but Dave had just reached out about getting put on the agenda for the next Board of Selectmen meeting. They have a consultant who has been working with them about the building the trucks, right? He's a
Financing part.
financing, yeah. So he'll be making that presentation at our Board of Selectmen meeting coming up on the 28th or whatever that date is. So then we'll have more information. Is that the 28th?
28.
Yes.
28th, yeah. So let us know if that works out, Dave, because we could always do a special meeting for that too if your consultant's not available. Yeah.
He's available, we were just waiting for
Oh, okay.
confirmation to be put on the agenda.
Okay, so we'll put that
We'll
in.
make sure we get to.
Well, I know you were waiting to hear back from Bud as well for Board of Finance, but
He did respond back
Right.
late this afternoon.
yeah. Okay, audience of citizens, number 2. Would anyone like to address the board that's here?
I would.
Okay, go ahead, Tim.
You're gonna meet this week or early next week on the Firehouse Building Committee, and what should everyone in town expect after that? Is the decision in the committee made as of that next meeting? Or is it another discussion and then we're over 2 months since the vote and we haven't started a thing yet? So
Yeah,
every week that goes by is another week of not getting started on this project. So just what is the process moving forward and when will the decision be made?
I think the process, the way I see it, is that we have been moving forward. For the financing is the big thing. You know, we are not shovel in the ground ready, even if we started a month ago. But I think my understanding is we'll get together, Board of Selectmen. I would imagine at this next meeting, we will have the committee, and then it'll get, all the committee members will be appointed at the next Board of Selectmen meeting. So it'll be officially appointed,
The 28th.
the 20th. Is that how fellow selectmen see it? They'd have to be officially appointed like we just appointed.
And we should be able to reach consensus on Friday.
Yes.
Whenever we have the meeting.
Yeah.
Have you decided on the cap of the amount of people?
We have not, so I don't want to speak out of turn. I know we threw around 5 or 7. That seemed to be a general number.
Good.
Right. But we didn't want it to be any bigger, so. Yeah. Anyone else? Mike?
Can I ask Trooper Kraus a question?
Trooper Kraus wants to listen to.
So, in your new program of this traffic approach to catching infractions, how do you determine your locations? Obviously, there's different hotspots. You're not going to sit on a street that has 10 cars opposed to a street that has thousands a day. And the second part of that question is, how do you determine the times? Because I think you have this from DOT, the exact times, and this is in regards to Main Street, 42,000 cars a week on Main Street, the speeding, violations, and the times.
Yep.
So this, I would think, would become a real easy tool to use to post troopers, you know, when the most people are creating the most infractions.
Okay, so let me clarify that this is not a new thing that we're doing. It's just something that we did this past couple of weeks. And motor vehicle enforcement is always top of mind, okay? We're not targeting people for infractions. We're targeting violations that occur, and then we give out what we deem the enforcement to be based off of the situation. So we're not going out and giving infractions. We're not going out and giving tickets to everybody. It's what we deem appropriate for the offense.
And I understand that you have the ability to use your discretion,
Yep.
and I totally get that. I mean, that's fine.
And locations for motor vehicle enforcement is determined by the officer who's performing the enforcement.
I guess my point is, and I think a lot of people's concerns and observations through the past 7 years prior to you even getting here, was that, I mean, we obviously have peak traffic periods. And again, the DOT statistics are there for everyone to get.
I've reviewed the data of that, and actually there was specific data from a 3-month time frame in September to November of this year. There were a total of 220,000 cars that went northbound on 154. During that time frame, approximately 98.3% of the vehicles traveling northbound were going at or below 40 miles an hour.
And that was located where exactly?
That's
No, but where?
on 154,
In front of-
south of Town Hall. So, with that data, okay, we're not pulling it. The infraction schedule doesn't really give much for a violation under 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, right? And we're not going to waste our time with somebody who's going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. That's just not what we do. It's somebody who's more egregiously violating the law, right? So 98.3% of the vehicles traveling in that area were complying with the law.
So there's 2% of 200,000, so that's a significant number.
1.7.
1.72%, that's still of 200,000. That's
So if you
just
see-
2,000 cars.
If you see 100 cars go by, 1.7 of them would be violating the speed, right?
We're splitting hairs that way, but the other way to look at it is...
I understand, sir, I understand that you want higher motor vehicle enforcement in front of your premises.
No, not in front of my premises, on Main Street in Deep River, from start to finish.
Okay.
So I want to be clear about that. It's not
Yep.
just in front of my house, it's
Okay.
our whole village district.
I understand that. The fact of the matter is that there isn't really that big of a issue on Main Street, and we have an entire town that needs to be served. So we're not going to allocate resources only to Main Street, right? We're going to serve the entire town, and we're going to perform motor vehicle enforcement where we best see fit. So, and we're not only focusing on speed enforcement either. For instance, there is a documented issue right in front of the firehouse with people observing the stop sign, and they don't. We've been enforcing that. We've been addressing different motor vehicle violation concerns throughout the town. It's not focused in any one location, and it would be a disservice to the town if we did focus in one single location.
Absolutely.
It's everywhere throughout the town.
Absolutely, but again, you skewed the numbers from the other end. Here's a statistic, and I don't want to take everyone's time up because this is, there are 5,200 speeding cars a week on Main Street, just Main Street.
Okay.
So that's in our village district. That's the community, that's a part of the town that is economically viable for the survival in the future of the town for tax reasons. So while focusing on Route 80 is important equally, we have to risk reward on how we're going to split up our limited time with the
I never
troopers.
said we were focusing on Route 80. I said we're doing it throughout the entire town. It's not limited to one area.
No, which is good,
It's not
and I appreciate
restricted.
that. And I'm glad that you're stepping it up, and I think everyone recognizes it. It's just, I want to make sure that we don't take our foot off the gas pedal on this. I think it's important.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else have any comments? Who?
I don't know, the Timmy one.
Okay. Thank you. Forgot I was taking notes, so I had to turn some. All right, now selectmen update. So Catherine had sent some great topics, and I had already pretty much done the agenda, so I thought I would touch on some of those. I did want to bring up one thing we got from CRAD, our Connecticut Regional Area Health District. Right now, there has been no positive testing for the avian flu, but there's basically some concern. So if they have a couple nice links here that we're going to put on our website. So if residents do find a group of dead birds, there are some places to reach out. If they're wild birds, those are managed by the DEP. If they're domestic flocks, they'll be managed by the Connecticut Agriculture, so ct.ag. And again, this will be on the website. So they wanted us to know because a lot of time residents do call the town hall first. So then we would refer you to some of these resources. But they do ask that if you have a domestic flock of birds, chickens or something, they encourage you to get registered with the Connecticut Agricultural CT.AG so that you'll receive updated information and directions as needed. So if Connecticut does find a case of this, then we need to all be much more aware. So please look for the website for that. And again, if you find any dead birds, please report them. Okay, so that was that. The DPW car markings, we are working towards that. Apparently I have the last design that I have to approve, which I thought I had approved, so those will be done. It's just going to be a town seal, and it will say Department of Public Works. Very simple. It'll go on all the red trucks on the door. Kind of understated, but good. As far as our waste management, so we've been talking, we've just started recently we've had 2 meetings, another on Friday, for the 11 towns that currently use the Essex transfer station, the Mira site there. Because as we know, Mira has dissolved, it's going to be closing down. So the 11 towns that utilize that, we're all trying to figure out what our next steps are. So that's in the works, discussion, coming up with what options we have, and then once we get some of the options, then we'll be presenting them as a Board of Selectmen to the public, to the Board of Finance to see, because the cost of tonnage per ton will probably go up substantially. Right now it's getting subsidized.
When will you be sharing that information with the other 2 selectmen?
I think maybe after Friday, because Senator Needleman called this one. DEP has been in them, and so has the Mira. So we're trying to, like I said, come up with some options and see. We have, our contract really goes through the end of July 2026. But the Mira at Essex, that contract is going to run out June 30th, 2025. But we have the contract for 1 more year. But there's some talk about maybe getting out of the contract early to see if we can renegotiate a price or something. So again, the other 11 towns we're all just listening at this point, gathering information, because there's a lot of people that speak at these meetings and everyone's taking notes. And so I think we're all trying to gather enough information so we can have a very informed discussion. So that'll be coming down the pike. Let's see, Region 4 schools. We've just started having kind of a preliminary, we had 1 meeting to talk about some data-driven ideas for what the future of the elementary schools is, pretty much what we're talking. So that is still something that we want to have some public meetings, but we have to kind of get our ducks in the row there so we can start having the public meetings to present the information.
And when will the second and third selectmen be involved in those discussions and information sessions?
Again, it was just first selectman of Chester and I met a couple weeks ago, and one of the regional board members had presented some items. And we asked if he would consider presenting to the residents. And he was going to get back to us if he felt comfortable doing that, since he is on the board. But again, it was all just data, comparing our towns to all these other like towns with some demographics. So it wasn't specific to Region 4, what was presented.
It was not specific to Region 4.
No,
well, I
it
guess
was comparing us to, like I said, other towns that have the...
My concern on that is we had spoken about this way back when there had been a meeting. We were going back last summer. Senator Needleman suggested that it should wait till after the elections because people were feeling a little high-strung. So, and then we discussed, and we said after the holidays, after John Winthrop opened up. So my question on this is, when are we going to actually begin discussing it as the 3 towns boards of selectmen, and who's driving that? How do we get that moving? It's been...
Those are all very good questions, and at this point, there's not a lot of answers for all that.
Well, how can we help with that?
Well, the first selectman in Chester and I are planning to meet and push it forward. At this point, we don't think the town of Essex is that interested in moving anything forward. So it might be more driven just by Chester and Essex at this point, or Chester and Deep River. Again, I had one meeting because that's what everyone was telling us, like, wait till after John Winthrop opens. So which just was last week or the week before, so. we've had
Well,
one
we're
meeting.
standing by, ready, willing, and able.
So it's in the works, but it's, yeah, seems like it's something that needs a lot
I'm
of
just
discussion.
concerned because there's been some rumors and talk around that I'm hearing. I'm not game to just move 6th grade up there. That will not benefit us whatsoever.
No, that.
Because we take 25 students out of here and move them up there. That doesn't help us.
Yeah, I think that is sort of.
Financially, it does not help us.
And it doesn't help Chester either.
Correct.
It helps Essex. So
So it's time,
As
these
much
things
as we
take a
love
long
Essex.
time. So it's
if you're
good to
watching
begin.
this, anybody from Essex, we love you. But it does sound like that isn't going to help, because they have a space crunch, Essex. So they are very willing to jump on that and move the kids. We don't have a space crunch, either does Chester. It's really just going to kind of hurt us. So that's the only thing that was proposed so far. And me, again, Chester and Deep River, we don't think we want to jump on that. So that's as far as we've gotten. So.
Not to be a broken record, but I will be bringing it up again so we can
Oh,
get
no,
moving on
please
this.
do, please do, yeah.
Because it's been
Yep.
half a year. All right.
And then the other thing about the RFP, we're hoping to get the RFP out for the town buildings by the end of the month.
On the
But-
maintenance of town buildings?
Yes,
Yeah.
just to see if we can get kind of what they did at Region 4. You know, all the buildings inspected, so we can have kind of a priority list, see where we're at. And that would really be beneficial for driving where we put monies in budgets moving forward of, put some hot spots.
And I think she had on her list there the property. What's the status of the property?
Oh,
The sale
so-
of the industrial incubator
Yeah,
park
so
property.
we did hire someone to, not an assessment or a, pardon me?
Appraisal.
Yeah, they're not doing a full appraisal, they're doing more like a market analysis. And so I signed that contract maybe at the beginning of last week. So I think that'll be something that the assessor had kind of given me that person to hire. So usually it's a 2 to 4 week turnaround, she said. So I'm assuming that'll be coming soon.
Okay.
And then we can move forward with that. And then the Devitt sign, people are asking, so it's all wired. We're waiting on Eversource to connect it. And I think Tina was reaching out to you, Tim, to see if you heard anything from Eversource.
I emailed them this morning for an update, and then I was referred to the line supervisor foreman to see when it's on the schedule.
So an update on that, there was a highway construction job there this morning, and I believe it is good to go.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Isn't this funny?
They don't-
You just can't get a direct answer. Well, thank you, Steve, for that.
30 this morning.
So that'll be exciting. We can start putting our electronic messages up there as soon as we all are up.
Should we do a ribbon cutting?
We'll do a ribbon cutting or something. What else do I have?
Wondering where we are in the park and rec director search.
They did some interviews last Monday, much to the surprise of the town hall staff. We did not know that was happening. They just showed up and said we're doing interviews. So they do have kind of a finalist that they've passed on to me, and I'm waiting for the resume and all the paperwork that goes with the name that they gave me so that I can reach out to the person, because at this point, the Park and Rec has not shared the resumes or applications. I mean, they've taken them from us and they have them. They haven't given them back to me. So I don't have any contact information for the person. I'm
So they
supposed
have
to reach
one
out to.
recommendation.
Yes.
All right.
So
Will we be interviewing the person as well?
typically it was just the first selectman, but when I call them in, if you'd like to come in, that would be fine.
I'd be interested.
Yeah, okay.
So we may be close.
So it sounds like we're pretty close. Again, if the Board of Selectmen, if we think it's a good fit. So we are the hiring authority, so we'd have the final say. So that's exciting. And I think that was all my little notes, because the next note's going to other
I
stuff.
think one more on the list was
What's that?
any update on the evaluation of developing a blight ordinance. We had talked about that a couple months ago.
We did, and the zoning, and Tony had sent me quite a few things from other towns, and I think it's just a matter of, oh, Tony, do you want to add?
I was going to say, if you want, so I was going to do the during ordinance to citizens and I got a text and spaced out. So we do have a blight ordinance that we're going to, so Thursday's our meeting. We have 4 ordinances ready to go, one of which is a blight ordinance. And there's also a sidewalk ordinance that can be part of the blight ordinance. But we have them separate just in case one passes and the other doesn't.
Okay.
So there is, it's basically East Hampton's, which was very well done. So we just did a couple tweaks and we'll get that off to you guys. The one that is going to be the holdup though, since we're talking ordinances, is the one for planning and zoning specifically. We went through everything. Again, we'll have to talk about it on Thursday, but we want our attorney to look at it because he's a land use attorney to make sure we're not missing anything.
Great.
So hopefully after Thursday, you'll have everything but the one.
Okay, so then I imagine that we'll have to have town attorney review everything. We'll have to vote on it, and then we bring it to a town meeting, giving the public enough time to see what's new, if it's a correction to an old ordinance or whatever, what the changes are, and then they get voted in. So thank you for doing that. I know I've gone to a few of your meetings, and it's been great, great conversation. So, anything
Great
else?
update. That's
Okay.
everything on my list. Thank you.
Okay, well, that was a good list. So let me see, blight ordinance was the only
Aerobic.
thing I didn't put on there. Okay. All right, so motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, what time do we have? Oh, we have one person online. Any comments from our neighbor online? No? Okay. And so what time is it?
7:08, 7:09.
7:09. Okay, so you made a motion.
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.